We are going to be talking about something extremely serious here. That is something that's massively important and also very near and dear to me. Now, as you guys know, if you were at all, politically aware or part, what you would consider yourself a supporter of the Bernie campaign. Now, a lot of you guys know that, I'm only 17. Now, when I first got into politics, basically, not much time after I first got into politics, I found out who Bernie Sanders was, and I became a supporter of Bernie Sanders, essentially right when I got into politics and started learning about it. And, I was basically, I experienced pretty much all of the primary that happened. And so, I remember a lot of this stuff happening in real time, and that's why it's so important to me, and that's why I really wanted to talk about this. So if you guys know, you guys have, read the statistics about how Bernie Sanders was boxed out by the mainstream media, and all these sound bites that Donald Trump would have, the media would just be playing on replay and replay and replay and replay, and the media would also be extremely dishonest and really, I would say, irresponsible. For example, a thing that really pissed me off, and I still remember this time to this day, I was in the car listening to the radio, and I heard, the radio host say that, was saying the delegate count for the Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders primary. And included within the count was superdelegates in Hillary's count. Now, superdelegates is a massive number. It's like 623, I think. So that is a ginormous number. So every time that those two numbers were uttered by anyone who's a radio host or a news host, it is a massively irresponsible move and a very douchebag move. Because now people are given the impression that, oh, Bernie Sanders has no chance. Why would I vote for Bernie Sanders? He has no chance. He's not going to win. But they're not telling you that the superdelegates don't vote until the end, until the convention that happens way later in the summer. Remember that Obama, the superdelegates flipped to Obama, but they were for Hillary Clinton at the time. So it is extremely dishonest, and it is extremely irresponsible for the media to be doing things like that. And the lack of coverage for Bernie Sanders was, again, something that was completely irresponsible, and that is probably the main cause as to why Bernie Sanders lost. And, I would say that a big part of the reason why Donald Trump won is because the media was so irresponsible and just kept playing him over and over and over again. That was coverage 24/7. Now, this is something that we kind of already knew, right? But this is really shocking still at this point. And not shocking, but it's really kind of a relief. So I'm sure you guys know who Ed Schultz is. He was fired from MSNBC. MSNBC is supposed to be the liberal, left-wing news network, which really it's not. It's a bunch of baloney. He was fired after he came out against the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which, again, is something you should read. It's something that's really scary. Now, what you guys are going to be seeing, he gave this interview talking about how when he was with MSNBC, he actually was told not to cover Bernie Sanders, and he, as you'll see in this clip, he explains why he thinks that happened. Check this out.
Bill Griffin, who I consider a friend to this day, was a watchdog, far more than anything I am exposed to here at RT America.
Did he tell you what to say? Did he tell you an angle to take?
Often. In fact, when Bernie Sanders was announcing that he was going to be a candidate for the nomination of the Democratic Party in Burlington, Vermont, I was the only cable host between Fox, MSNBC, and CNN that was there live to cover it. Now, there were live cameras there, but we had coordinated with the Sanders campaign that at 5 o'clock he was going to make his announcement, and we were going to cover this on the Ed Show. I go to Bernie Sanders' house that afternoon, an interview in the backyard, about a 15-minute interview. The grandkids are running around. It's a big day for the Sanders family. He's going to announce that he's running for president. We're going to carry it live later on in the day, and we're going to run this one-on-one tape with Bernie. 3,000 people are there on Lake Champlain. It's 5 minutes to air, and I get a phone call from Phil Griffin. You're not covering this. I said, Phil, Bernie Sanders is announcing he's running for president. He's going to be president. I don't care. You're not covering this. And it got rather contentious. And I don't, well, now you're asking me for opinion? I'm giving you fact right now about what happened. And other people who were there with me will attest to the fact and back me up that this is what happened. We were told that we had to cover something down in Texas that was totally meaningless, and another press conference in Baltimore, which was already had been in the news for a few days. We're covering Bernie Sanders live. We're coordinated with his campaign. And I'm told 5 minutes before, you're not covering Bernie Sanders. Now, let me give you the opinion. I think the Clintons were connected to Andy Lack, connected at the hip. I think that they didn't want anybody in their prime time or anywhere in their lineup supporting Bernie Sanders. I think that they were in the tank for Hillary Clinton.
So again, while we know that this happened, it's truly remarkable even now to hear what he just said. Because what Ed Schultz just said just confirmed everything that we've been talking about this entire time. And it hits multiple fronts. Again, the irresponsibility of the media that occurred, and also just the baloney that is the idea that MSNBC is this left-wing Democrat news outlet, and it really doesn't represent progressives at all. And the irresponsibility of the media, and especially MSNBC, is the reason why independent media has become so popular online. It's because when the media is irresponsible and they don't cover the real issues, people are going to start going elsewhere. I know people who don't watch any news whatsoever because they treated Bernie Sanders like shit. And they treated him extremely unfairly. And that is why support for independent media has grown so much. And that's why independent media has grown so much in the first place. And so this is just something that is, again, like I said, really near and dear to me because I remember this happening pretty much real time. And the fact that Ed Schultz is coming out to talk about this is really interesting. Another thing that's very interesting, by the way, is he's essentially saying that he's given more guidance or, commands as to what to cover than he is on RT right now. And, RT, liberals will be like, oh, RT sucks. And maybe RT does on Russian issues, but it sure as hell doesn't on American issues. Look at Tom Hartman's on there. Tom Hartman is great. And there are many other shows that are on RT that are great as well. But this is just something that is horrendous. And it's horrendous for many reasons. Because the people on MSNBC who are the establishment, shills, and, these sellouts and corporatists, they think that they're going to win elections. But they don't realize, these fucking idiots don't realize that they're the reason why they're losing. They are the reason why they're losing. It's not anybody else. It's because you suck. You suck at your job. Not only do you suck, but you are complete shit and you're irresponsible. Again, you can look up the statistics. It's massively, the media coverage was massively skewed. And on top of that, whenever Bernie Sanders was covered, a lot of times he would be asked bullshit questions, whether it be framed from the left or from the right, calling him a socialist and, all of the different stuff that ended up coming out about, how the DNC wanted to, and Hillary Clinton camp wanted to out Bernie Sanders as an atheist and blame him for that. It's all bullshit, and this is why I will never watch MSNBC. MSNBC is complete shit. It's not really progressive in any way, shape, or form, and that is why independent media is growing, and that's why it will continue to grow, because real progressives have to, do it themselves. We have to cover the issues that are really important, and Ed Schultz explains and, gives a first-hand account of what happened and why it's so important for independent media.